are gonna upset some bitches and I love it. Hi, my name is Ethany and I have been practicing the tarot for over 20 years, and today I'm doing a video response to Katie Flower's Unpopular Opinions on the Tarot. I will link the original video and her channel in the description box below, so make sure you go and give her some love and check out that video after this one. What are some of your unpopular opinions when it comes to tarot? Let me know in the comments below. And if you have not already subscribed to my channel, go ahead and click that subscribe button and join the Tarot Bumblebee family for more videos like this. Just want to put out a little disclaimer, for all you very sensitive beings out there. I completely agree with Katie when she says that we need to be able to have uncomfortable conversations in our community. We don't always have to agree with everything everyone says, but we should be able to have these conversations and have opinions without everyone jumping down our throats. Strap in, everybody. I'm gonna upset some people. Probably not. I'm probably being like hyperly dramatic, but me being dramatic? Never! The first unpopular opinion I would like to discuss is that tarot card sizes are too big and inaccessible. My opinion on this is that that is not true, from the fact that you can pretty much buy any size card you want. Now, what may be more to the point is that the deck that you like doesn't come in a deck size that you prefer as an individual, but there are a myriad of choices out there. The Hans Robertson deck, for example, is quite small, and there are a lot of publishers who are releasing mini decks. Then there are round decks, there are square decks, there are larger decks and small decks. They come in all shapes and sizes. The next opinion actually personally insults me. It's all you really need in life is one tarot deck. I mean, I feel called out a little bit, but I'm not taking it personally, honestly. Yeah, some people only ever work with one tarot deck and some people like to work with multiple. It really depends on personal preference at that point. I use a lot of decks because I professionally am a tarot reader and teacher, and I use them pretty much daily, and I like having different interpretations of the tarot. But yeah, you really only need one deck if you only really want one deck. The next unpopular opinion is I don't think there is a need to use a proper spread when reading cards. Well, again, that is a personal preference thing. I like using a tarot spread because it gives my reading a place to go. It gives it a roadmap and it allows me to get context and actually have some defined parameters. Sometimes I read completely free-willy, nilly-willy, freestyle, and that's completely fine too. But yeah, you don't need one. I completely support that, but I personally like to use a spread more often than not. The next unpopular opinion is that there is too much emphasis on the fool's journey. Yeah, I can see why this is an unpopular opinion because the fool's journey is an archetypal journey linked back to like Joseph Campbell and Carl Jung, and it makes sense from how you can interpret the entire major arcana. I don't actually think there is too much emphasis on it. You don't have to agree with it, but it's beyond tarot. It's not just about tarot. It's actually beyond it in regards to human existence and experience. So I get why that's an unpopular opinion because I don't agree with it, but you don't have to use it in any of your readings. I know a lot of people talk about it in books and courses, but there is a reason for that because it's how the tarot in the major arcana afflicts to the stages of life, and that's valuable. When you boil down the stories and the messages, it's all very universal, and that's why it resonates with so many people. The next unpopular opinion is that the Tower is a great card, and I actually 100% agree with this in a few cases. So it can be devastating. I've had the Tower come up with houses being lost to floods, with marriages being completely shattered, with businesses going bankrupt, car accidents, and I think everyone can agree all those things suck big, salty. So I don't think it's a great card when it comes to that. But when it comes to the shattering of the ego, that side of it, when it comes to realizing that there is a different world perspective or that you can do things differently, that is when it can be an amazing, liberating card. The next unpopular opinion is that the market is saturated with deck creators, publishers, and decks that reuse old ideas and look the same and don't have anything original to offer. There is a reason for that. I don't necessarily agree, because art is art and art is there for everybody, and it could be just an aesthetic that speaks to somebody or unlocks a key for someone to access themselves and the deeper meaning of the cards. But I do understand where people come from. It has been a huge resurgence of popularity in tarot, and that means that there's been much more on the marketplace. But the reason why it can feel like it's the same, especially when there are a lot of Rider-Waite-Smith clone decks out there, is because people are using that system, which uses specific body language and symbols and colors to make a deck. It's really that reliance on the system. But the reliance on the system makes it easy for people to have a lot of decks and transfer their knowledge. So it's a bit of a double-edged sword. And you know, the decks that kind of speak outside the box, there are plenty of those out there now, especially ones that don't have any humans, or they are very different in style, or they have a lot of very different interpretations of the tarot. But I love a good Rider-Waite-Smith clone. So I just think it's, again, take what you want and leave what you don't. The next unpopular opinion is tarot aesthetic. So why do we have to have all of these candles and scents and music and even what we wear and like all that accoutrement to make a reading great? Well, quite simply, you don't have to. But a lot of people like that because it sets the mood, it sets the ritual intention. If you've done ritual, it makes complete sense to set a space to be a specific working area. It invokes different energy in the room and can really create an amazing and very memorable experience for your clients. But you don't need it. I've read in cafes and boardrooms and bars and events and at beaches and at the park, like literally everywhere. So you don't need it, but I understand if people are spending a lot of time in an environment, they kind of want to make it feel great. The next opinion comes from coexistence of different theories about where tarot comes from and the meanings behind it. There are the theories that it came from a playing card game, Tarocchi in Italy. Then there is the, oh, it's ancient knowledge that has been passed down. And can these things coexist? And I think that is absolutely fair for it to coexist. But when it comes to history, we know what happened in regards to the intersection of spirituality and tarot. We have no proof that the ancient Egyptians or whoever it may be passed down everything in the tarot, because when the tarot, especially the Thoth and the Rider-Waite-Smith were created, they were created by white men in mystery lodges that created these more esoteric meanings outside of the game itself. But there are systems that are quite old, like the Lenormand, the Romani reading cards, charm casting, all that has a total place. And yes, we might find that there is a deeper meaning, but really our modern day tarot comes from those mystery lodges. The next unpopular opinion is that the guidebook can be just as important as the deck. And I agree. There are some stellar guidebooks out there that give so much more than just the standard meaning, and there are exceptional companions to the deck. Read your guidebooks, and I have a video about why you should read your guidebook. Check that out here, and you will get to know my reasons behind that, but I completely agree with this one. The next unpopular opinion is that no tarot or oracle deck has any innate power. It only has power when the person who is using it declare it does. And this is a very philosophical kind of question or a point of view. You know, I agree to a point. There is a really famous quote in Practical Magic about how the star and his badge is that same thing. It's like it has no meaning until a meaning is associated. It doesn't stop criminals in their track. It is a symbol of what is actually behind it. And that is really what the tarot is. Yes, we give it meaning when we sit down, but it also has a blueprint that I can pick up, someone on the street can pick up. It has a lot of background information from everyone who has used it before and everyone who adds their own interpretations. This also has a point to how you're actually reading the cards. If you're reading the cards intuitively, absolutely, you just go with it. But if you're wanting to learn, say, the system of the tarot, then there is that underlying meaning. But I totally love this opinion for the fact that yes, we give things importance for sure. The next unpopular opinion is that hardcore collecting of the decks takes away from the sacredness of the actual cards. Now, again, this is very much somebody's sort of interpretation or point of view on that. I sort of completely disagree. I mean, it's like you can collect garden gnomes or tea pots or whatever it is and be a collector of fine art, and you can be a collector of tarot. Again, it depends on how you're using the tool. Some people don't see it as sacred at all. So if you're coming from a sacred perspective, then maybe yes, that does take away from it. But some people just like collecting pretty things, and we should allow them to have both opinions. Collect the pretty things and not collect the pretty things and not participate in collecting. The next unpopular opinion is I don't like gilded edges. They scratch easily. And yeah, they do, but most things that you use are gonna wear. Your clothes don't last forever. Your shoes don't last forever. You know, nothing lasts forever. If you're gonna use it, use it. Like, I really love when things scratch and start to fray. It gives it personality. It shows that you've actually put some good energy into it. Yes, they can scratch, but I'm not really looking for anything to be pristine. Again, if you're looking for a collector's thing, then maybe don't shuffle them. I like it when things are showing a little bit of wear and tear, especially cards. I've broken them in. The next unpopular opinion is that some decks have really pretty art, but they're very hard to read with because there's really no symbolism in there. And you know what? With some decks, I completely agree. There are a lot of decks that I do not use, I have not purchased for that reason alone. And it's one reason why I find it very difficult to read tarot decks that just have an animal on it. Like, it's like the High Priestess just has an owl. And I can get a lot from that because, you know, you can put wisdom and seeing at night and being really sensitive to sound and, you know, that going to Athena and all that sort of stuff. But if you don't know a lot about the lore behind an animal, it can just be like, oh, well, that's a deer. It's one of the massive reasons why I struggle with things like the Wild Unknown. And I love the artwork, I've said it before, but I completely agree with this one. Some tarot decks for me, I find give me nothing because of their lack of symbolism. They're beautiful, but that's about it. The next unpopular opinion is that I don't like bordered cards. I feel it gives a more finished look when there is a border included. Now, this opinion I've seen a couple of times around, especially when it comes to people modifying decks that have borders and cutting them off. And I really think it has to do with what you like. There are decks like the Schiffer print of, or red feather print of the Gaia Tarot that has two borders. I mean, like, why? Why is there two borders? I don't understand that. So it really comes to what you personally in preference like. I like borderless because it allows the images to sort of sweep through. And you can, you know, some people think that borders are just wasted art space. You know, that's another opinion that you might have about it. But I do see where people are coming from when it comes to that. For me, I actually prefer borderless, but there are some decks that I don't mind having a border, but as long as it's not like ostentatious or really like impractical, I don't mind a border at all. Final unpopular opinion is a juicy one, is that if an indie creator doesn't want to reprint their deck, they should put it up on something like Make playing cards, because when people sell their decks, the ones that are available, the prices can be astronomical, and then the artist and the creator doesn't get any of that money. The problem here is, kids, is that it's exactly the same with a piece of art or any other collectible. When that art or that collectible moves from the person who has sold it to the consumer, that consumer can do whatever they want with it. The fact that there is no more of that is really not the responsibility of the creator. Also, the creator should have every right to only print as much as they want to. Printing, shipping, all that is an astronomical cost, and it's also a lot of freaking work, I know from experience. If a creator doesn't want to do any more, they absolutely do not need to or should put up their work on something like Make playing cards. Because I mean, the quality of Make playing cards, for example, it's not very, or Game Crafter, or for example, is not very good. And they have, like, they can do whatever they want with their art. The fact that it's going for a lot of money has got nothing to do with the creator. And does it suck that someone is getting $500 or $1,000 for reselling it? Sure, but it's really about people who are willing to pay that amount of money. That's not on the creator. That is not their fault. It is not their fault that it's selling for that much because someone is willing to pay for it. It's completely supply and demand. So I think the creator has the right to do whatever they want to do with their product. The consumer, once they have paid the creator for that product, can do whatever they want as well. And the person who wants to purchase it for an astronomical price has absolutely every right to do with their money what they will. If you wouldn't pay that much for it, then so be it. If you want to hear more ruthless opinions from me, make sure you check out this video where I tell you what I hate about tarot decks. See all of you tarot bumblebees next time, and don't go stirring that tarot cauldron too much, everybody. Stay kind.